Hello and welcome back, everyone. Flavor Friday. Today we are going to be going over a Tinto flavor number 13, which is going to be featuring everyone's favorite German miner, Saxony. So we are going to be going over a specific flavor for Saxony, which is formed by kind of these two miners that are present here at the start. And so without further ado, let's get to the point where they say without further ado, because they do this in almost every Tinto talk. Hello and welcome to the one more week of Tinto. Hello and welcome one more week to Tinto flavor. One more week of Tinto flavor. One more week to Tinto flavor. Is this a hidden message? Is there a Tinto flavor? Flavor. Comment below. The Happy Fridays, happy is not capitalized, terrible, in which we take a look at the flavorish content, flavorish, with an extra U. Everyone knows that even if you're using Americanized spelling, there's two words that should have the unnecessary extra U, that the British like to put into things because whatever reason, and that's flavor and glamour. Yeah. Content with the super secret, top secret, big secret, Project Teaser. Today, Project Teaser, but of course pronounced correctly, Project Teaser. This Wednesday, we had a Tinto Talks related to the HRE, so it may be fitting to look at another German country with unique flavor content, Saxony. Let's start without further ado. Bam! Without further ado, we got to the without further ado. Let's go, baby. Here we have a little bit of a description. The country of Meissen, which is going to eventually form Saxony, a possession of the powerful von Witten dynasty, had its origins in as an eastern march of the Holy Roman Empire in the lands of the Sorbs and other Slavic people that were rapidly Germanized. Germanized. The land, densely forested in its origins, has proven to be really fertile, and the mild climate, especially near the Elbe River, has allowed the Saxons living there to develop a wine culture. Very interesting. Wine is going to be, generally speaking, a better good. We don't have our spreadsheet available here, but wine is going to be one of the better goods. We know that rivers are going to propagate control, and that a really fertile, implying farmlands, is going to be pretty good terrain here. So all in all, this does sound like a pretty strong place if you wanted to build tall and small, at least at the start. The Ore Mountains, separating the country from the Bohemian crown, are rich in minerals, especially silver. Silver is extremely strong, having a base value of 8 and also providing minting that fuels the economy of the country. However, its apparent richness is a double-edged sword. Is it really? Can you really ever have too much richness or too much flavor? You actually can't have too much flavor. It's overwhelming. As the country is seen with greedy eyes by its neighbors, and they might try and conquer it. Despite its potential threats, Meissen thrives as a significant country in Upper Saxony. This is a little bit of an intro. Okay, so first of all, we don't necessarily have an idea of AI behavior, but we assume / hope that the AI is going to be more aggressive in taking, or is going to try and take more efficient expansion paths. And of course, this is like a flavor description, but if the AI does behave in this way, that'll be very cool, where like, if you're actually more vulnerable by starting a country that has silver, that would be super sweet. I imagine that's not going to be the case too much. AI is hard to... It's hard to program AI that is intelligent about utilizing opportunity cost. In this case, the opportunity cost is if you are going to expand in the HRE, you are going to incur lots of, I forget the version for their aggressive expansion. It's a separate word that they have for this in Project Caesar, but you're going to accrue a lot of that, right? So you can't expand too much, and so not all things are created equal. Getting silver is a great boon. Almost as good as gold, but not quite. Over time, the von Witten rule has expanded into Meissen's influence and fortified it against external pressures. With fertile lands, rich resources, and strategic location, it stands prominently. It stands as a prominent entity within the empire, attaching admiration and envy from its neighbors. Sorry, it's a little hard to read with the glasses on, but everyone knows you gotta wear sunglasses on Flavor Friday. Shout out to the sunglasses. If you're not wearing sunglasses, pause the video and find your sunglasses and put them on. Okay, the country of Meissen is one of the ones we recommend to get all the Saxony-related content, since it was the polity that ended up unifying the region of Upper Saxony. So we do have not yet unified Upper Saxony here. We have our ruler, nice little 51, 49, 56. That is a little bit more nuanced than some of the other ones we've seen, where we tend to have stuff multiples of 5 or 10 for a lot of these rulers. Take any UI, 2D, and 3D art as work in progress. As always, as per usual, they put this qualifier in every single time. Okay, here are the lands of Messen and its neighboring county, Landsberg, which you are going to be unifying with, is my understanding here. They start with a semi-unique government reform that is only available for a few countries in the HRE, where we have monthly progress towards defensive. This is good for defending the silver, I suppose. Noble estate satisfaction equilibrium, just strictly good. And army maintenance decrease, strictly good. So this seems like a pretty strong government reform here. Is a historical jurisdiction named after Markgraf, a count of the frontier that serves to defend and administer the border regions of a realm mostly focused on facing external threats. Margraves, a blend of military defense with governance. The Margraves' responsibilities include safeguarding the frontier, managing local affairs, cooking deep flavor into their dishes, bridging the gap between the central authority and those border territories. Okay, this does make sense. You do, of course, bridge gaps, in terms of culture with food. A couple of the state privileges for the countries of the German culture. Now, I kind of skimmed through this a little bit, rather impressed. These do seem, overall, a lot of these things seem incredibly strong. Let's get into them. So, plus 5 happiness, plus 50% power for the nobility here, monthly progress towards aristocracy, stability investment cost, minus 20%. That seems like a pretty sharp tick down. I don't remember the exact numbers on what stability gives you, but if stability is particularly strong, this might be worth taking. This is one of the ones that we think is maybe a little bit less powerful, but the German nobility maintains the long-standing tradition of dividing the lands and titles of the father between all the sons, ensuring peace between brothers and avoiding unnecessary war, which is of course how you get the HRE with over 300 nations at the start of the game, or countries. Is it a nation or is it a country? Not sure. I think it's both, but I don't know how the HRE accounts for that. Shout out to the loud car outside. Okay, the Magdeburg rights here, or Magdeburg, not sure on the pronunciation, plus 5 happiness, plus 40% power. I assume this look like the burgers here, where we get trade capacity plus 10%. This seems pretty good, and this locks us out of ages. Just kidding. I assume that you just can't pass this during the age, not that it locks you out of ages. That would be insane. Implementation status 100%, implemented in 1333. There's 3s in all the right places there. A set of privileges that were originally drafted using the Flemish law. The legal framework was spread around Central Europe via an influx of German immigrants, centered around cultivating the liberties of the individual citizen. These rights serve to guarantee and regulate the autonomy of the local administration. All right, fair enough. We see the revoking of the privilege would cost us some stab, 85, quite a bit. Stab trends from minus 100 to plus 100. Is there a revocation? There isn't a revocation cost on these other ones, which is a little bit interesting. This is an estate privilege as well, but does not have the revocation cost. But okay. And then here we have a unique policy available to German countries as well. This one seems pretty strong. Expand mining town. Expand mining cost. This is going to pair really nicely with the silver and founding town cost. And so for every, you have rural areas that could get upgraded to towns, that could get upgraded to cities. And so moving up to a town is cheaper. And so I imagine spamming towns instead of going up to cities in terms of if the trade-off is particularly close between a city and a town. If you're playing in Germany, you'll want to make a lot of towns rather than a few big cities if the trade-off looks somewhat similar, right? Which is going to be interesting because for rural areas, there are unique buildings that you can only build in towns, only build in rural areas, and only build in cities. And so this is going to bias your overall economy towards those town buildings, whatever they might be. And so this might mean that you are incentivized to produce a particular type of good because the founding town cost is a little bit different for you, which is kind of interesting to think about, but is going to be something that you are, I suppose, if you are playing German countries, is going to be something that informs the underlying play patterns here. And a very important work of art here, the Sachenspiegel, unknown creator, but it is a magnum opus. And this is, of course, a chronicle. It is, origin is in Meissen, compilation of the traditional Campari laws and rulings all over the HRE, is one of the most important compilations of laws of the empire, as well as the first to be in the German rather than the Latin. Okay, continuing on here. There are some unique advances available for Mason and Saxony for different ages. Here we have the Mason Lion, available in the Age of Traditions, Crown Power plus 20%. That seems, just generally speaking, like a pretty strong advance. You know, just plus extra Crown Power. Very, very simple, but this is going to give you a lot more control, ability to pass stuff, you know, through your parliaments, these types of things, because you can push stuff through with either estate power that is approving of the thing or with crown power. And so far, we've seen this modifier be one that is kind of a little bit hard to come by. So the Mason Lion, also known as the Mark May... I can't pronounce that. A special place in heraldry, representing the Witten dynasty as a symbol of power. The black armored lion with a red tongue gazes to the left. Golden field image appears in various forms, including painted on tombstones and signs, helmets, coins, and seals, symbolizing the affiliation of the city of Meissen to the Meissen. And adorning the arms of numerous towns and communities. Some link it to the recolored Thuringian lion, but very, very strong, and is available to you if you're playing Meissen. Income from minting, plus 10%. Just generally kind of an advance that is maybe a little bit attractive, but extremely attractive in light of the fact that you're going to be running silver. You're going to need to find some way to deal with the inflation, but this might be kind of how you approach the early game is, okay, we got to deal with the inflation, but then after that we spam minting as much as possible, or spam silver. Look to stack minting bonuses to the extent that they can be stacked. I forget how the B is pronounced. Is that pronounced as an S? The Meißner Groschen will serve as a regional currency of our nation. This coin is based on the Prague Groschen, which we will replace. The new large Groschen will mark the beginning of a new era of our country, or our history of our coinage, and will let us control the influxes much better. Efficiency of cabinet is another modifier that I think is generally... We're seeing the cabinet have a lot of actions that are particularly strong. If we just boost this by 10%, this in turn seems quite strong. The Saxon court here, you know, especially like relative to a lot of the other bonuses we've seen so far in these Tinto flavors, the Saxon court remains a pillar of the public estates and the electoral Saxon's government. Alongside the civil and military estates, court's regulations govern the daily routine and responsibility of officials within their offices, while court's composition includes nobles and commoners who serve the ruling family and contribute to the government and administration dominion. While each adult member of a ruling family maintains its own court, we will create a big permanent one in our capital, attracting the best minds to the realm. Hence, efficiency of cabinet. Monthly literacy. This is kind of presented in a way that is different than some of the other literacy modifiers that are just plus literacy. This is monthly literacy. I don't know exactly how it compares. I don't know how it pushes the equilibrium. I imagine it pushes up the equilibrium more than 0.02 and is pushing up literacy maybe like 5% or something like this. I don't know. Available in the Age of Reformation. Age of Reformation takes hold and the state assumes church administration. A new responsibility arises for the emerging state. Education, which previously belonged to the church. To prepare for the newly founded universities, 3 Saxon schools for princes will come into being, utilizing secularized monastic property. The schools of boards of Paforta, Grima, and Meissen will be formed, overseeing the remaining... I really hope that's pronounced as an S, otherwise I've been flubbing it. These 3 states and princely schools. Thus, the state will take on a significant role in shaping the educational landscape, fostering knowledge and intellectual growth for the future leaders of Saxony. Really excited that we actually have flavor for just basically every single thing. That seems particularly substantive and well-written and all this type of stuff. Just like kind of pausing to kind of appreciate this, because this is available for like dozens of countries, right? That they already have this all kind of worked out, and the game's not even been announced yet. Shout out to Project Tizar. really, the project is teasing. Project teaser. And then we have the Meissner porcelain available in Age of Absolutism, so a little bit late. Monthly prestige. Really not sure how good prestige is, but porcelain output. This could allow us to specialize and push porcelain, this type of thing. Plus 20% seems pretty good, but it also depends how many output modifiers you can stack. The more of these you can stack, the weaker they are, right? Because proportionally to the old status quo, plus 20% represents less. If you already have plus 100%, it's only plus 10% above what your baseline is. And then if you have 0% extra, plus 20% represents, of course, plus 20%. So we need broader context for really kind of evaluating how good bonuses are in this type of stuff. But now let's take a look at some, and also how much we can actually trade. Like, if you can only trade a little bit, it feels like, then specializing in something for the purpose of exporting it, not going to be that strong. If you could trade an absolute ton, then specializing in something for the purposes of exporting it becomes a lot stronger, but leaves your economy more vulnerable to interferences with trade, let's say. Now let's take a look at some of the events available to Mason. Early on, these will pop up. The acquisition of Landsberg, moving towards being Saxony. So-and-so inherited, not invaded. What's the difference, though? The county of Landsberg after his marriage with Countess Sophie Askiner and wants to sell it to us. The lands of Landsberg belonged to us not long ago, and this could be an opportunity to get them back. What should we do? Alright, fair enough. And we could say the land belongs to us. That seems really cheap to annex some territory in terms of the gold costs we've seen so far, where it's like 50 gold or something to expand at RGO once. And you can get, 8 locations, and make them cores. So obviously this seems like what you want to do, and this will lead to the result of Meissen being here, kind of pushing this Upper Saxony area. This event might also pop up, as will the loud car outside, where we will get Count Frederick and, his ruler, Upper Bavaria. Roman Emperor Ludwig IV von Wittelsbach, the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, and father-in-law of our ruler, Count Friedrich II von Witten, has sent a generous reward for our loyal service in Brandenburg. We are, after all, defenders of the Empire, although now we're in the middle of the Empire, so hardly on the borders, but okay. The second option will give us is an alt history interesting one. Let's see. Let's use it to mint a new coin, the Meissen Groschen. Trade efficiency plus 0.5%. Really kind of curious how trade efficiency is going to work as a modifier as well. If it just multiplies the value you get from trade, then that's a free money modifier, right? And it's going to make trade extremely valuable. I assume trade's already going to be valuable, but it's going to be interesting to see where they put the leverage and the power on some of these modifiers as well. Hard to tell how strong this is, though, without more context. We also have some late-game events, which are very fitting for a Saxony playthrough. We see Sebastian Bach. Of course, not as excited about him as we are Leonardo da Vinci that we saw earlier, but he is, of course, a big famous guy. He's a virtuous composer from... Virtuous is interesting, is, like, historically as a word, this word, like, doesn't mean, like, good, like, morally good, in the sense, like, in the ancient Greek sense, virtue did not mean morally good, or, like, pure in that sense, although the ancient Greeks' understanding of morality was also different, such that it kind of actually lined up. But virtue was more competence or excellence. And to be fair, the ancient Greek word for like moral goodness was arete, which also translated, roughly speaking, as excellence. And so to be virtuous would be to be extremely competent. And so you could read this as one way, like, oh, he's a moral, upstanding guy, or virtuous in the sense that in kind of more the older sense that he's really extremely competent composer from Einsach and living in Leipzig. I mean, I assume it's more the latter in terms of the usage here. Has been heard complaining about the high cost of living in Leipzig and the low salaries receiving as Thomas Guntor. He has also shown his desire to be a court musician in the capital. Let's bring him to the court, obviously. I wish we could see, or he's an artist, so we don't get to see his stats. We see the Zwingers, shout out to the Zwingers, as observed the magnificence of the palaces that some rulers across the continent have built. Count Frederick II von Witten has toyed with the idea of starting his own project. With some indications from our court architecture has presented an ambitious plan to create a grand palace and garden complex with interiors that would serve as exhibition galleries and library halls. Our ruler is excited, but some wonder if he should spend the money on this huge project. I don't know this guy historically, or this is the ruler. Oh, this is just the special palace. I assume that was built historically. And then we get a little look at what it does. Gives nobles a little bit of power. Not too much power. Like, remember, some of the things we saw that we could pass would giving like 50% power. So this really isn't a lot of power. And would give us cultural tradition and influence 0.25. This seems to be pretty good. And so we see what it costs in terms of stuff. Costing gold will make it expensive. It would have been better if it cost silver, because we can get cheaper silver in our market. So, to the extent that these things are cheap in our market, this will decrease the price of the building cost, and to the extent that these are expensive, these will decrease or increase the price of the building cost. I anticipate gold will just generally kind of be expensive, even though its base price is 10. I anticipate that even then, its price will be elevated because it's used in a lot of things. And then I think that, or I have to imagine if you use it for minting, that it consumes the good and you cannot mint it and export it too. After all, you cannot have your cake and eat it too, you know, and so, I was gonna shout out that one French princess, but I forgot her name. The one who said, "Let them eat cake." Yeah, they can't have it and eat it, man. And last but not least, there is the possibility of unifying Saxonian region into a proper tag. Form Saxony, tier 1 formable country. To form Saxony, the following must be true: is not possible to choose Saxony due to Meissen is the prince elector and status of the Holy Roman Emperor. So you have to lose the prince elector status in order to form Saxony? Interesting. Or something like this. And much, much more. But that's all for today. No! Next week will be an intense week. You know what's also intense? Camping. Also circuses. Since on Monday, we will be taking a look at Tinto Map's feedback review of Western Africa. And on Wednesday, the Tinto Talks will be devoted to Catholic religion and the Catholic religion I.O. And on Thursday, will be a new Tinto flavor about the Papal States. Certainly it matches up. Also, in terms of reading through some of the older Tinto Talks, we're getting the kind of implication that we're probably going to be seeing a lot of religious, you know, Tinto flavors and this type of stuff in particular. And like, so we might see like Protestant and the Protestant Reformation in the following week or something like this. Or I imagine we won't just do Europe back to back, and so we'll probably see some other religion as we, you know, kind of unfold some more of the stuff. But the religions seem to be the last kind of really big thing that they need to kind of unveil, and so we might, like, I'm not sure exactly what all they have remaining. They've said that they've talked about all the mechanics they want to talk about and given all the feedback in the first 57 of these, and so now it's just various flavors and this type of thing, and so, you know, putting the finishing polish on these types of things, but they do want feedback. So if you have opinions on this or this type of thing, especially the religious mechanics as they come out, feel free to put them down in the forums. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, you know, do the YouTube algorithm thing, and other than that, have a Flavor Friday.